Hello friends, let us discuss about Azure physical infrastructure. Like any other cloud vendors, Azure build their data centers using green technology, which means the power, the cooling is drawn from the environment or the nature. When they build the data centers, Azure ensures that maximum they use eco-friendly green technology. Physical infrastructure is all about the compute, the storage, and the networking part of the Azure infrastructure. When it comes to region, the region is a geopolitical area where Azure has placed its data centers. Within a region, there can be multiple data centers and also there can be multiple availability zones. These availability zones are interconnected with high speed network connections, and availability zones is a physically separated data centers within a region, and these availability zones are interconnected with high speed networks. Whenever you deploy a virtual machines, you have an option to choose how the virtual machines can be placed in a particular region. Either you can choose to use the virtual machine in one availability zone, or you can also create a copy of another virtual machines which can be placed in availability zone 2 and 3, so that you have very high availability of your design, and the services what you have deployed, it will be highly available. As I said, if you are using availability zones to create an high availability applications, you can always ensure that the virtual machines the virtual machines or the applications whatever you are deploying, you deploy in multiple availability zones, so that even if one of the zone fails, the other zone will be available. There is also a concept of region pairs, which means when you create a service in Azure, you create the services in multiple regions, so that if there is any outage in a particular region, the other region can withstand the service and the data traffic will be redirected to the region which is available. Examples of region pairs in Azure are West US and East US are paired, and Southeast Asia paired with East Asia. So West US is paired with East US and Southeast Asia is paired with East Asia. If you visit this particular website, you will be able to see the data centers for Microsoft Azure Cloud. If you select, let it load. This is the global infrastructure of the Azure. You can just point in the global map and you can see the data centers or the infrastructure of the Azure. Also view the global infrastructure in a 3D format, so that you will get better visualization of the Azure infrastructure. For example, this is one particular region which is called West Central US, and this is also one of the region which is West US 3. West US to Central US, South Central US. You can just rotate and see where are all the regions which is maintained by Azure. If you come to this particular site or the page, and if you look at the geography and select United States, you will see multiple regions. Also, if you look at in the same page, it also mentions about availability zones. Some of the region doesn't have availability zone. Some of the regions have 3 availability zones within a particular region. It is not that all the regions has availability zone. Some of the regions has only one availability zone. In that case, you need to ensure that you place your services or your workload in a paired region or which is near to your region. Let us understand how the regions are built. For example, if you take this as one big region, and as we saw, there is an availability zone of 3 in one particular region, US East will create availability zone and another availability zone 3. These availability zones have data centers. The green box indicate the data centers. Within an availability zone, there can be multiple data centers. So each availability zone can have multiple data centers which are interconnected with high-speed network. So the green boxes which I am drawing, these represents the data centers within a particular availability zone. So let us name the availability zone as AZ1, AZ2 and AZ3. And inside the AZ1, let us name the data center as DC1, DC2, DC3 and DC4. Since the availability zones is within a region, the connection between these availability zones is via high-speed network. So there is a region, there is an availability zone within a region. It depends on the region how many availability zones a region can have. If a region has multiple availability zone, each zone will have multiple data centers and each availability zone will be connected with high-speed network. This high-speed network can run at terabit per seconds because the networks are combined in such a way that It can provide high bandwidth connectivity between the availability zones. And if the network is switching between region to region, then there are chances of using public network. Since the availability zones are within the same region, they use this fiber connection.